Welcome to another tutorial on how to create Dmods. As you can see, I've opened the Dmod we made earlier. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make an indoor room that looks good. I'm actually going to make it and you can watch so you can see how it's done and stuff. And this is also in preparation for the next video where we'll be learning how to make warps. So what you want to do is go right over here next to this screen, create a new screen right there. Now if you watch my previous tutorial on placing tiles, you'll know how to do this, but I'm just going to get some nice looking grass by going into the tile sets. Tile set number 1, grabbing some grass and stamping it in this screen. If you watch, like I said, I think it was one of my earlier tutorials. It's called placing tiles. Just watch that and you'll know how to do that. Now what you want to do is press R, make sure you're in sprite mode, press E. You get the sequences pages up. You press page down to go to the other page, but you got all the pages on here. I already explained that in a previous tutorial as well. And you want to go to sequence 63. It's the house. And I'm going to use frame 7. It's a small house. Now, at the end of this tutorial, we're actually going to be leaving this house here on the map for use in a later tutorial when we're creating hardness. So you might want to put it in the same position as I've got it here and use the same house, because depending on the house and the position it's in, it'll make placing the hard tiles more difficult. If you don't know what I mean by hard tiles, it doesn't matter because I'm explaining that in a later video. But just make sure that your house is at right click and press properties. Make sure the X is 376 and the Y is 213. If it's not, go ahead and change those and it'll be in the same position, and then it'll make it easier to replicate what I do in the later tutorials. Okay, now don't make the house hard, because like I said, I'm going to be showing you another way to make it hard, a more practical way in a later tutorial. Because if you make it hard, if you hold space, that's going to be the hard box of the house and you'll be able to walk through all this area. So I'll show you that in a later video. Like I said, I want to press E, grab frame 3, which is the door, put it about middle of this side. Now if you press save and go to play Dmod, what you'll notice is if you go across to your house, you can walk through everything, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm going to be learning how to fix that in a later video. But you can't go into the house either. Now I'm going to be showing you how to make it so you can walk in the house in the next video, but there's a few things we have to do first. So first of all, press escape. And what we're going to do now is create an indoor room. And usually when you're creating a Dmod, you want to reserve one corner of the map for indoor rooms and just go out from there, because you don't create indoor rooms next to the other screens. Otherwise you'll just be able to walk straight into them from these screens down here. So press escape, go to the top left corner of the minimap, and you want to go new screen. We're not obviously we're not going to be using this grass or any grass for that matter because it's an indoor room. So press number 1 and we're going to be using this wooden floor. So copy that, stamp. Now this can be a disaster to line up, because if you copy this right here and press stamp next to it, it's not going to line up. You know, it may not seem that hard, but as you can see, you just, whoops, that's the same one. You just grab it and, god damn it, line it up just like that. Just play around with it, copy a certain square, put it there, wait till it lines up and it'll work. But like I said, it can be difficult. When I was first creating an indoor room for my first Dmod I ever made, I've only ever made one Dmod that got uploaded, but I was raging at my computer because I couldn't get it to line up. But you know, just play around with it, you get it lined up eventually. Press R to go back into sprite mode, press E, and press escape to go back to the main sequences page. And we're going to go to sequence 31. Okay, now I'm going to grab a wall right here. We'll use frame 25. Now you'll notice that the hard box of this wall isn't very practical. Like you wouldn't want to use that hard box for this wall. Some people would rather use, say, a wall like this one. This would be used on that side though, because it's got the brown border, but with a proper hard box, because they want to use a good hard box. Now what I'm going to do for most of the indoor rooms in this tutorial is create the hardness using hard tiles, which will be explained in a later video. Some people like to do that, and I'm one of those people, just creating indoor areas and using the hardness, using the hard tiles to create the hardness. Like I said before, you probably don't know what hard tiles are. It'll be explained later. So if you like, you can use these walls with proper hardness and use that hardness. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be doing it with hard tiles, so I can use something like this. Okay, so what we're going to do is stamp this, leave a little bit of a gap right there. Just a little tiny gap just there, because we're going to be placing another sprite that fills that. Stamp. Just line these walls up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, it needs to look good. Leave a gap because this is going to be where Dink enters. My mouse sensitivity isn't very good, so I just grabbed frame 36 there. I'm going to put that there. It doesn't matter if you overlap the walls. My mouse sensitivity is really bad at the moment. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to use frame 23. Don't worry about that stuff popping up down there. That's just my Steam account telling me that people are playing games. And the reason we left this gap over here is because we're going to use this, and you can see that brown border. If you can see a bit of the grey wall like that, just fix it, move this across a little bit so you can only see the brown border. Stamp. Oops. Stamp. Now the reason I left a little bit here is because if you press E, we're going to be using frame 22, and this has its own corner piece. Now put this right up against the top of the screen so you can see the whole wall. Put it right up in the corner so you can see the brown border, and then we can like overlap this a little bit just so we can fix that. That across, make it look good, and we will actually place another one up there to cover that a little bit. And then you do the same on this side, press E. It's frame 21. That's pretty spot on. Another one up there. And then we're gonna make sure that these two walls are at the same white coordinate, because we want them at the same height. The screen isn't going to line up otherwise. The walls, I mean, they aren't going to line up. So right click on this one. It's at Y88. Right click on this one. Y88. Okay, that's good. Because you won't be able to tell if they're like one off, but you will once you start putting the other wall there. So now I'm going to grab like a darker wall, kind of. We'll use this one. So we want to press stamp these along here. And the frame that I used for that was 31. No, not 31. It was 30. Use whichever wall looks good though. And there you go, you've got a room. That's your first room. Now usually, since we used a small, if you press escape and go down here, we used like a small house. So press space to detail that. Usually you wouldn't actually use up the whole screen because that looks like too big of a room for the house. You'd actually create a smaller room and then create black tiles around it to give the illusion that it's a small room. But don't worry about that if you don't know what I'm talking about. okay, because we'll probably be doing that in a later video as well. Okay, so that concludes this tutorial, and in the next video I'll be showing you how to make a warp so we can go in and out of this room.